So welcome back. Week 2. Hopefully that last week went okay between when you were out of Connect Group till now with some of the stuff that we discussed. Hope that helped a little bit or came up or just
Hopefully
not sure.
you saw yourself in one of those roles, maybe, avoider, pursuer, or those kind of things. And you're going to notice this even at work and places like that. I mean, this just isn't only in relationships, but anywhere. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that is helpful for any relationships that you're in, because you're going to notice this. So I want you to pay attention to these kind of things.
Yeah, so this week we're going to cover a portion of communication. I know there's a lot in communication. Basically, we say that about 95% of everybody's problem is communication. If they can fix that, they can fix it all. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where we go with that. But when it comes to communication, the first thing we hit is verbal versus nonverbal. And nonverbal communication is something that everybody has. People carry on very long conversations and never speak a word.
True.
Which is very unhealthy. So nonverbal is a flip of the head. It's how you breathe, you shut a door, you roll your eyes, you gasp, because what you're trying to do is trying to get the other person's attention and communicate something to them without saying anything, because it's like, you should get this. So there's a lot of times you can carry on a whole conversation and never say a word. Yeah. The problem with that is this: I'm left to assume what it is that you're saying. And we do learn that language. We'll learn the nonverbals. There will be a certain look and it's like, yeah, like right. But we get to learn that communication.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes when we're way off. And I think last week I talked about, how guys are clueless sometimes. Not as a bash to us, but there's times when we're not thinking of anything. And a girl thinks about stuff all the time.
How can that really be, though? I mean, really? Like, seriously.
Guys, tell me.
No. You're thinking something. You're just not willing to, let us know what that is.
Sometimes she'll think I'm in deep thought, and I'm not. I'm deep, but there's no thought going on. It's just, I'm just gone, zoned.
Well, I kind of know that sometimes.
Yeah, we've learned that over the 33 years.
Yeah.
If I walk into a room with a TV, like we can't eat at Buffalo Wild Wings because there's 15 TVs around the wall and they're all on a different channel.
He's gone.
And when I walk in, it's just like, that's it, I'm done. We can't ever go there as a date.
Yeah, so a date, yeah, he's got to have his back to the TV.
And we do. When we go out to Applebee's or a place like that, we always set to where my back's to the TV.
Okay, but honestly, it's not even just TVs. It's other people in the other part of the restaurant that sometimes you are so focused on their
not a stalker
conversation or the antics of the kid, on the back of the booth or whatever, and it's like he's looking right past me, and it's like, this is supposed to be our date night, so let's talk. Let's share something.
We're together in the same restaurant. I mean, isn't that enough?
No,
that should be
that's
enough.
not it. That doesn't count.
No, I know.
No.
So back to nonverbal. There's a lot of times when we will have communication to where she has said something to me or I've said something to her in a look, and then all of a sudden we have this thing going on in our head to where it's like, I can't believe you just said that to me, or I can't believe that that's how you feel about that. And it couldn't have been farther from the truth. I mean, it's not what that is. Sometimes it is, but most times it's not. It's just not there. Mm-hmm. So we say that with communication, the most important thing is to use words.
Right.
And so how you use those words, sometimes you have to choose your words carefully.
Right.
Depending on who you're having the conversation with and how your conversations have gone, because everything you say can and will be used against you sometime in the future.
What can I say? Sometimes it is.
You said it, and and it's like, no, that was so long ago. That was last week. So when it does come to verbal communication, it's so important that I'm telling you what I am thinking, or that you would ask clarifying questions.
Right.
If I say something that just doesn't make sense, or that doesn't set well.
Right.
Sometimes it's like, so what did you mean by that? Or
another thing, tell me more about that. So what was that like for you? So help me understand that better.
Yeah. Because at least in that, you're going to be using words to clarify what it is that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, in the couples that we work with, we have some handouts that we do, and I could have brought one and held it up, but it's easy to explain. It's called a wish list.
Yeah.
A wish list is a time when both couples will sit down, or both people will sit down as a couple, and there's 3 different things that they fill out on there that they wish they had either more of or less of in their relationship. And they don't let their partner see that list. But after they fill it out, then they take turns basically sharing what it is that they want more or less of in their relationship. And what we find is, no matter what the situation is in how the couple's getting along, most times they want the same thing,
Yeah,
or they don't want the same thing. And it's like,
Right.
really, I didn't know you felt that way. Like, you do want more of that? Yeah, I'd love to have more of that in our relationship. If it's, spending time together, or not arguing, or spending time with the kids, or going on dates, or whatever it is.
Wish we could save money better.
I wish we could save money better, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could.
And the cool thing about we all do. I think the cool thing about wish list is that you're able to say, I wish that we could do this or not do this more. And as you do that, then the other person, it's their job then to come back and say what you just said, but not verbatim using the same words, but
What did you hear me say?
So then you're repeating back, oh, I think you said that you would enjoy it if we could do da 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 da. And then it's my job then to clarify and say, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Or, no, that's not really what I meant. I guess I meant it to be, this is what I meant. Oh, so this is what you're saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So you actually get to figure out what it is you're trying to say, and you've agreed on what that is.
And narrowed it down.
Right,
And then the last question we ask is, how would you feel if that's how it went?
right.
And it's like, wow, valued, important, cared for, loved.
Right. And that's another self-disclosure. And I think that that's one of the things in our culture that we have not gotten really good at. I think that as time goes on, we're not really good at self-disclosure. I feel like there's a little bit more isolation, even though we seem to be more connected to more people. Those aren't relationships where we're like face to face. And so I think face to face is a little more intimidating for people sometimes. So the more that we can learn how we really feel and what we really think about something, then we're able to disclose it to each other. And I think that's just a really valuable thing. So the wish list helps to bring that out.
Yeah, it does. We also have a conflict resolution sheet. And of course, it has space on there that you have to fill out too. But the first question that it asks is, you establish what the conflict is. So
Pick a conflict.
pick a conflict
pick one
that you've
you're
had.
dealing with right
you don't
now.
pick your laundry up off the floor, or you always leave the lid up on the toilet, or I don't know, whatever it is. And it could be, you always leave the car out of gas, which you do.
I do.
Every time I get into the car, it's empty.
Yep, I do that on purpose
I know.
because
You
I'd
drive
rather-
and drive and drive and say, when is he driving, so I can leave it empty?
Or if it's making a funny sound, I wait until
absolutely.
you drive it, and then you can say, "What's
Blame
that
me."
sound?" Right?
Yep.
Then you can fix
It's like,
it.
I don't know, I've never done that before.
But then you can fix it because I know you like to fix things.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely.
So we're good. See
So-
how this works? See how this works?
When it comes to conflict, you pick the conflict that it is. And then after you pick the conflict, the first thing that you answer is, what do I bring to the table in this conflict? Because so many times we're so eager to jump on the other person. It's like, well, you do this and this and this. And it's like, what do you bring to the table? And so when we have couples do it, or when we do it, it's like, okay, so here's what I bring to the table in this conflict.
This is my part.
This is my part of
This
this.
is what I'm doing.
And-
that's
and
not helping.
It's not helping.
Right.
And that, a lot of times, once you both shared that starts to settle the conflict right away, because it's like, wow, I shouldn't be doing that. And the focus is off of what you're doing. The focus is more on what I'm doing. Then there's a place where you list out things that haven't worked in the past, that you've attempted, but it just didn't work for this kind of a conflict. Here's a great one that a lot of couples that we know struggle with. Where do you want to eat? I don't care. Okay, so like name some places. No, go ahead. You pick a place. I really don't care. Okay, how about McDonald's? No, not McDonald's. Are you kidding me? And it's like, well, then you do care. And it's like, but I don't care. You just pick some stupid place like McDonald's. Like, who's going to eat at McDonald's, right? I eat at McDonald's without her because she's not going to eat there. But it's like Applebee's. No, not Applebee's. We ate there last week. Okay, how about Mexican? No, the stomach isn't feeling it. And it's like, so you do care. So all of a sudden there's a conflict. So things that have worked in the past is not arguing about it. So then you start listing out what are some possible solutions. And the solution that we came to is to have a date jar, or to have a fast food or a eating establishment jar, to where you say, hey, where do you want to eat? I don't care. Neither do I. And you pick one out of the jar. Now, there's always a disclaimer because it could be a more expensive restaurant. It's like, we can't afford that this week. So you can always have a second pick, but you can never have more than 2 picks. So that'll settle it, because it's like, look, you're going to eat another meal in just a few hours. So this isn't the last meal that you're going to eat. Why would you die on that hill, right? So it's not going to matter.
Right.
So go ahead and pull that out of the jar and say, oh, well, yeah, let's eat there. It's just a meal, and if neither one of you like it, rip that one up and throw it away. Don't put it back in the jar.
Right,
I mean,
right.
It's not that hard to solve, right?
Right.
So have a list where you have some different solutions of how you're going to solve this problem. If it's budgeting and overspending or any part of that, that's a way that you can resolve conflict and settle that by coming up with the solutions together.
It could also be something to do with kids. I mean, maybe you don't discipline the same, and the rules aren't the same.
Maybe you're a blended family.
Right. So that's going to make a difference.
Oh,
on
boy.
How you do things. Yeah. So there's some really good creative solutions, and as you start writing some things down, some of them are so ridiculous, of course, those aren't going to work, but then you can laugh, you can move on, and get down to the ones that really will work, because there's always a solution. It's just a matter of thinking outside the box and figuring out what's going to actually work for you guys better.
Mm-hmm. The last one we're going to deal with before we turn this back over to your group is this one right here.
Ooh, you're getting personal.
Well, it's just how it is. So many times we can get so consumed. By the way, did you see this?
No. Oh, they're so cute.
Look how big the arms are.
Goodness, yeah, that looks weird.
I know,
What is
it is
that?
weird.
I don't know. Sorry.
You can get so wrapped up and consumed in this, and it'll eat so much time so quick that all of a sudden you or your partner feel neglected. Mm-hmm. And there's times when you're both doing it, and it's like, so you never spend any time together. I suppose you could text each other, but that's just, there's nothing personal about that. There really isn't. So what we have is no phone zones.
Yeah.
Where, okay, so from this time to this time, there is no phone, and you put it away. You shut it off, you put it in the other room. I know that a lot of people are in business, or a lot of people have to be contacted. What in the world did we do with these 10 years ago when we didn't have them? Mm-hmm. And there wasn't texting, Not everybody carried a pager. You don't even remember what that is, most of you. Well, yeah, we're the older couple, so yeah, you'd know what a pager is. Yeah. But the biggest thing is, how did we learn how to survive with these things before? Right. We communicated all the time. I know that, in our household, we didn't watch a lot of TV. Even when our kids were little, we played board games or some kind of a game, hide and seek in the house or whatever, because we were engaged in the family all the time. Once our kids became teenagers, this is the only thing that we ever saw. I mean, it was just like, how could you ever have any time together? Well, the problem is, even in marriages, we get to that same point. Right. We're empty nesters now, and there's times where I don't even pay attention. I'm on my phone, or she's on her phone, and it doesn't even matter. It's just so much a waste of time. Mm-hmm. So having a no phone zone for an hour block to where you can actually sit down and say, hey, we're either going to watch this show together, or we're going to have this conversation, or we're going to whatever. Mm-hmm. But there's no phones involved, and then you just put those phones away.
I think that's really important because you feel. Have you ever been sitting talking to someone and their phone rings, or they get a text and it's like, oh, okay. I mean, it's so rude. I mean, it's almost like you're whispering in somebody else's ear, and there's somebody sitting right here, but I'm having this other conversation over here, and it's just a perception, but it feels really rude. And I've been guilty of it because I know I've done that before. Or how about this? This is really good. It's like you're talking to someone, the phone rings. Oh, they can wait till later. How many times have you done that to me? I mean, really? So
But that's a non-negotiable for me. Yeah. I always take a call or a text from my wife. Always.
He's a very smart man. Very smart man.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, just be aware of that. Sometimes one person will be on their phone, and so by default, the other one's going, okay, fine, we're not talking now anyway, so I guess I'll get on mine too. And then pretty soon it's like, well, you were on yours, so I was on mine. Well, no, you were on yours first. And it's just one of those silly things, but don't let things come in between you.
And cause you not to communicate.
God intended for marriage to be a reflection of what our relationship with Him is supposed to be like. And He wants us to know Him and to love Him and know how much He loves us back. And He wants to have communication with us. So that's what we want to have as a couple, because we want to more accurately experience what it is that God wants to experience with us. And so sometimes by learning just a few pretty simple tools really will help you in having a way better relationship, because the way you communicate with each other can make or break your relationship. And whether it's you as a couple or you in the workplace or you at school or whatever, just to be really super aware of that. That makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. We're going to turn this back over to your groups. We really thank you for walking through this process with us. We know that everything is a work in progress. We hope that this will give you some different areas to discuss in your small groups or in your Connect group. That's totally wrong.
I think that as you start applying some of the things that we've talked about, I think that you're going to notice that there are going to be changes in your relationship. So whether it is like the buzzword or the non-negotiables that we talked about, those are going to be really important. And then maybe you want to do your date jar, so you have a place you might want to go or an activity you might want to do and where you might want to eat, and pull those out of there. It's really important that you not only hear what we're talking about, but that you actually do it. Because until you start applying it, it's not going to go anywhere. You can know it in your head, but your relationship isn't going to change until you actually start doing it. So we're excited for you guys because we know that God has some pretty cool stuff going on. And we know that He's taught us things and He's going to teach you guys things. And I hope that you come back and help us understand the things that He's teaching you, because we definitely have a lot to learn as well. So we're excited about the whole process and having
And if you ever get stuck, give us a call.
Yeah. And we'd love to connect. So that would be sweet.